Hello everyone, welcome to ITLS Academy. This is a great learning platform where you can learn everything you want to from the comfort of your home. I am Gitanjali, your mentor. Let me introduce myself. I am a content creator, storyteller, visual merchandiser and a corporate trainer. I have authored and published 2 books as well. So I have over 15 years of cross-functional experience across leading brands like H&M, Shoppers Stop, Godrej and Future Group. I specialize in transforming ideas into impactful stories, whether through visual design, training programs, presentations or the written words. As a seasoned trainer and mentor, I have conducted pan-India workshops on soft skills, technology and leadership, touching the lives of employees across retail and service industries. I have also served as a guest lecturer at NIFT and Vogue Institute and contributed to non-profit education initiatives through Unnati. Trust me, volunteering is a great experience for everyone for whom we volunteer and for us as well. Try it once. And I have done my fashion technology from NIFT Kolkata and an MBA from NIM Bangalore. I also upskilled myself in Google Digital Marketing Certification and I have done my content design program from ECT. Right? Let's start today's topic. Let's quickly recap what all we have learned. We have learned what is HRM, why HRM is extremely important, roles and responsibilities of HRM, what is HCM, and who is an HR practitioner, right? If you have any doubt, you can always go to previous lectures. Today we will be learning in details about labor laws, right? Now, labor laws are also known as employment laws. These define the rights and obligations of employers and employees and are a core component of human resource management. So, labor laws are basically regulations, which is like this is the minimum which employers need to do for their employees' welfare, to safeguard their interest, to ensure their safety, right? Because all this is extremely important. Let's look into it. So basically what all comes under employment law in simple terms? What is your working hours? You cannot extend beyond a certain period of time. There is a provision of OT, but still. So in India, most of the companies follow 8 hours working shift and an hour of break, right? Then there is minimum wage. What is your compensation? Equal pay for equal work, no gender bias, how promotions are done, what are the benefits, employee benefits, healthcare program, insurance, PF, voluntary PF and so on. It helps employers know that this is the basic we need to do for our employees. They establish the responsibilities of employees. These laws ensure providing fair wages, adhering to working hour regulations and providing social security benefits for employees. Right? So every company has ESI policy or health insurance policy where employees are given benefits in case of treatment, if there is an accident and so on. Then ensuring compliance. HRM must ensure organizations' policy and practices comply with all relevant labor laws to avoid legal risk, defamation, suits and penalties, right? So there is a certain set of compliance which every organization, every business need to follow, be it following minimum wage or maximum working hours per shift. Otherwise, labor unions, employees can sue against the company and legal process is always long and expensive. So, in order to avoid all these complications and defamation, it's better to follow the labor laws and adhere to the compliance. Then, when these labor laws are followed, positive work environment is promoted. Compliance helps maintain minimizing labor unrest. So when the workers know that their interest is safeguarded, they are treated equally with respect, the companies care for them, there is less of strikes, less of conflicts and overall industry work is smoother. Then There are certain labor laws in India. There are many labor laws, but these are some of the labor laws which are very common, and we need to know them as an HR. So these can be divided into 4 categories. One is wages, where there is a minimum wages fixed, then equal pay for equal work, payment on timely basis. So the Payment of Wages Act 1936, the Minimum Wages Act 1948, the Payment of Bonus Act 1965, the Equal Remuneration Act 1976, where irrespective of your caste, religion, gender, you are given equal pay for equal work. Then there is benefits for women. So for women, there is Equal Remuneration Act of 1976, the Maternity Benefit Act 1961. So initially the maternity leave was for 6 weeks, right? But slowly the government and the employees, everybody thought that no, 6 weeks leave is not enough for taking care of a new mom and a new baby. So now this leave is extended to 6 months. So you get 6 months undivided time with your newborn, which is a blessing for working mothers, right? And then Sexual Harassment Act of Women at Workplace. You cannot pass on sexual comments, you cannot do molestation. So if you are doing any of these, you are punishable by law. So if as an HR you know these laws in detail, you can educate your employee and you can help solve the conflict, right? Then there is Social Security Act, like Employees Provident Act 1952, where every company has to contribute towards the employee PF, so that once you are retired, you have certain amount of money to lean back into, right? Yes, you can always do your savings, but as an employer, it is my duty as well to help contribute towards my employee savings, right? The Labor Welfare Fund Act, then Employee State Insurance Act. There is State Insurance Act, where there is ESI for different states. Then Payment of Gratuity Act 1972. If an employee is working with a company for a long time, say 5 years or longer, they get gratuity benefit as well, right? So always try to find a company where you can work for a long time, right? That's why it is very important to research before joining. Then industrial relations. The Industrial Disputes Act 1946, where if there is dispute between two industry, they know how to solve it by the law. The Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946, SOPs and Establishment Act, Trade Unions Act 1926, which need to be followed by employees as well as trade unions, otherwise they can be very manipulative. And the Factories Act 1948, where there is basic level of safety to be maintained. You cannot do emit pollution beyond certain levels. So these laws we need to learn in detail. So please go back to a library or take a book home and read these laws in detail. As the more you are familiar with these laws, more comfortable you are educating your team members. Now, what are the key elements of labor laws in HRM? Employee contracts. Employers are required to give employees written employment contracts, be it in the form of offer letter, be it in the form of acceptance letter, be it in the form of offer of employment, or if you are working on contract basis, the letter of contract, right? Whatever compensation, whatever benefit, whatever leave you are getting, it has to be documented, so that in case of conflict, both parties know where to refer, right? So in professional world, it is very important to document everything, right? Various things like terms and conditions of employment, compensation, working hours, benefits, and termination policies should be outlined in this contract. So as an HR person, if you are making an offer letter or employment letter, you should know in detail what are the policies of your company in terms of compensation, working hours, benefits, and what are the termination policies. How long is the notice period? Sometimes it is as short as 15 days, and most of the companies follows 30 to 60 days notice period. Otherwise, you have to compensate it with your pay, right? So you should learn all this in detail. Then there is minimum wage and overtime. Minimum wage thresholds and guidelines for overtime pay are established by labor regulations. The payment of employees must follow these laws. So you cannot pay beyond less than a certain amount, that is known as minimum wage, right? And overtime cannot be extended beyond a certain period, no matter how much you are willing to pay, because employees need to be rested as well, right? Then there are work hours and breaks. Labor laws frequently specify a maximum number of working hours per day or week and mandate that companies offer set break times. So some companies have one long lunch breaks, some companies have one short lunch break and two short coffee breaks as well, right? Yes, we frequently take coffee breaks sometimes, but it has to be documented how much breaks you are giving to your employees, right? So that their mental well-being is also taken care of. Okay, to avoid these violations, HR manager need to track employees working hours. That's where HRIS software helps. You cannot manually track login logout time, right? So most of the companies, when their employees go for lunch break outside, they have to clock in clock out, not to police somebody, but just to keep a track in order to present these documents when auditors ask for, right? Now, other elements of labor law in HRM is equal employment opportunity. As we learned in diversity and inclusion, under labor laws, discrimination in hiring, promoting and terminating employees based on protected characteristics such as race, gender, age, religion and disability is prohibited. So, as an HR person, you have to ensure that your workforce is diverse and everybody feels included, right? Now, family and medical leave. Different countries have different regulations, but every company has to ensure that there are various certain number of casual leaves, certain number of paid leaves and certain number of sick leaves, right? So employees need to be communicated about their rights by the HR professionals. Otherwise, if we don't know the law, how we will avail the benefits? Then termination and severance. There are certain rules to be followed when you are terminating an employee for whatsoever reason, be it rescission, be it company restructuring, or for employee behavior or performance, whatever it is, right? So you have to give certain amount of notice time, certain amount of compensation. See, for example, TCS, they had to fire many employees unfortunately recently, but they are giving 24 months compensation to ensure that they are taken care of, right? Right. And like employees have to follow the notice period. Most of the companies have 1 month notice period or 2 month notice period. Similarly, as an employer, we need to give employees certain amount of notice time so that they can search the job before we say them goodbye. It is only fair. Then, what are the key elements of labor laws in HR? Health and safety. Employees must maintain a secure and healthy workplace. It is the responsibility of HR department to establish safety plans, conduct trainings, carry out routine inspections and guarantee adherence. Now, workplace has to be safe. It has to be clean and hygienic. Washrooms has to be cleaned every day. Every checklist has to be followed. So all this comes under the roles and responsibilities of HRM. Now, union and collective bargaining. HR professionals may need to participate in talks for collective bargaining and abide by the labor agreements. Now, there are various labor unions which work along with the company. They are our partners. If treated right, if treated diplomatically, they are very much helpful, right? So as an HR, you need to know how to conduct meeting, how to do negotiation following the labor laws with labor union, so that you have constant supply of good workforce, especially in case of factories and where there is lots of workers required in civil lines, and so that's privacy and data protection. Now as an HR, you are entrusted with so many confidential data, so you have to ensure that there is no leakage of data. You have to treat data with respect, otherwise you will lose your respect. There will be breach of confidentiality and trust. So preserve employee privacy, you have to adhere to data protection law, right? Okay, then there is protection for whistleblowers. Who are whistleblowers? Who is your information provider, who are honest, courageous and bold to tell you who are the bullies, who is not following the labor laws, who is not treating employees fairly, right? So you have to protect them. People will come and tell you that this is not happening correctly, so they have to feel safe to come back to you again. You have to obviously cross check the facts, but ensure the conversation is confidential, right? So there are labor laws which contain clauses that offer protection to workers who disclose unethical or unlawful conduct within their firms. They should not face reprisal, and HRM is responsible for ensuring their confidentiality and safety. As an HR, you have to be very, very strong to understand that people perspective, right? Because people are not only capital, they work with emotions. Now, employee rights. There are various employee rights like right to a safe workplace, right to fair treatment, equal pay for equal work. So these are frequently outlined in labor laws, which you have to be very thorough and follow. First you have to learn, and then you have to conduct regular trainings to train your employees as well. Employee rights should be made clear by HR specialists through proper documentation, and these has to be displayed in notice boards so that employees know them by heart and follow them. Then reporting on conformity. The upkeep of records and the reporting of conformity with labor laws are under the purview of HR departments, right? So there are so many data when there is with the employee data, the checklist data, all these have to maintain thoroughly. Here comes the role of HRIS, who help you maintain the data, be it clock in, clock out, your lunch time, and employee salary, employees working tenure, and various employee benefit programs, the payment of employees who have left. These reports need to be generated and presented on demand to the auditors who come on regular basis to ensure that everything is on track, right? So sometimes doing these jobs on regular basis becomes mundane, right? Following the daily checklist, but always think about the bigger picture. This is helping your company to be safe and positive for your people. You are contributing towards the overall organizational goals. So do it with all your heart, not for the sake of completing the checklist and completing the task. So there are few examples of labor laws in India so that you will understand. Minimum Wages Act 1948, which mandates contractors to pay their workers a minimum wage, right? And if you are making them work overtime, pay the double pay. For example, if there is a society construction going on which need to be completed in 6 months, because after that there will be heavy rainfall, what you are going to do? You are, as a contractor, you are going to convince your workers to work overtime, but in return you are also rewarding them with double pay, so they are motivated and it is necessary, right? So labor laws ensure that people are paid double for their overtime. Then there is Employee Provident Fund Act 1952, which says that companies with more than 20 employees have to have a PF fund where employees contribute 12% of their wages on monthly basis and the organization contributes equally, so that after retirement you have a fund to fall back to, right? Ensuring social security. So these are few examples. There are various laws which you need to understand as an HR person and as an employee and as an employer to follow the conformity of labor, right? Now, we learned about labor laws, why they are important, what are various acts. How as an HR you help in maintaining these labor laws? By following these. First of all, you need to have a policy so that everybody can follow it. How do you develop your policy? Based on your region or area of work, following the labor laws of there. So whatever policies you are developing as an HR specialist, you have to ensure that they comply with the labor laws and meet the organizational goals. So HR are like a bridge between employee and employers, where you have to ensure the employee welfare as well as that employees and organization are meeting their goals. So second is grievance redressal. As an HR, you are entrusted with so much trust. People come to sort out their grievances with you. Where there are so many people, grievances is bound to happen. So don't panic, stay calm, listen patiently, and be fair. Give everybody equal opportunity to say their side of story. Then give a fair and equal treatment, and keep the whole process confidential, right? Otherwise it will become a gossip mill. We don't want it in our culture, right? Then there is dispute resolution. When there is a dispute between two industries, two factories, competitors, you have to ensure that along with your management, you know what are the dispute resolution labor laws and follow them, right? And last but not the least, world is changing very fast. So our labor laws in our parliament, laws are being amended constantly. For example, maternity law, which was previously 1.5 months, now it is 6 months, and it is benefiting so many working moms. Similarly, there are various laws which have been updated based on the current needs. You need to update yourself and then update your team and your employees so that these laws are followed, which is not something which happened 50 years back, right? So I hope you understood why labor law is very, very important and why we need to follow it, how we can ensure that our team is following it, to ensure that everybody is safe, protected, can focus on work. Let's explore the whole labor law further. I'm not giving you any activity this time. Just go to the library, take a book on labor law and read in detail. There are various labor laws, but don't panic. Start small. Start with these basic laws like factory acts, which ensure maximum working hours and safety and welfare of workers. Then Shops and Establishment Act, Industrial Dispute Acts, Employee PF Act, right? Then Employee State Insurance Act, which ensures health insurance for all the employees. Payment of Gratuity Act. Gratuity Act is basically where you work for minimum 5 years in a company, you are eligible for getting a additional gratuity pay. So do your research, find a company where you can work for a long time and take your gratuity. And there is Payment of Bonus Act based on their productivity and performance. You are paid extra so that everybody is well motivated. And Payment of Wages Act, where wages has to be paid on time and equal and fair, right? And Minimum Wages Act, which we already discussed, right? So go dive deep and explore further, right? In our next video, we'll be learning about international HRM, another very interesting topic. Now, please follow ITLS Academy on Insta, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, so that you can learn constantly. Download our app and keep in touch through our helpline. If you have any doubt, write back for your doubt clearance in our comment section. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you soon. Have a good day.